The land of cold and courage. There are places on earth where winter is not a season. It is a ruler, a silent monarch of ice and darkness. A kingdom where even metal cracks, breath turns to snow, and human footsteps disappear forever. A place where only the strongest survive, or the most stubborn. This place is the Republic of Saka, Yakutia, the coldest inhabited region on the planet. A land where temperatures fall to -71 degrees Celsius, where daylight is a memory and the night arrives like a slow, suffocating glacier. Yet, here, in this frozen silence, lived a 90-year-old woman whose story would defy science, nature, and fear itself. Her name, Agrafena Petrovna, the last shepherdess of the Oymyakon Valley. A woman older than the Soviet Union. A woman who had outlived her husband, her brothers, her friends, and almost every storm the Siberian wilderness had to offer. But nothing prepared her for the night when she faced 1,000 starving wolves, alone, to defend the only family she had left. Her snow sheep, the last shepherdess, Agrafena Petrovna, was not like other villagers. While most residents of Oymyakon moved south when age stiffened their bones or when loneliness became unbearable, she stayed in the valley, her valley. Her wooden cabin crouched on the side of a frozen hill, its roof bent under decades of snowfall. A single trail of smoke pushed upward through the chimney, fighting the freezing wind like a stubborn old soldier. Her snow sheep, a rare Yakutian breed with thick, frost-resistant wool, were her children. Her life, her inheritance from her late husband, Mikhail. He had died 30 years earlier, swallowed by the same cold that shaped them. But Agrafena never left. "If I leave them, I die too," she said whenever villagers asked. She was not speaking metaphorically. In this frozen world, companionship is measured not in words, but in breathing bodies near your fire. The night the forest woke up, it began unusually. The day was too quiet, even for Yakutia. The snow had a peculiar stillness. The forest behind her cabin looked deeper somehow, darker, like something had awakened inside it. Her old dog, Burkan, growled at shadows only he could sense. And then, the ravens stopped calling. In Siberia, when ravens go silent, predators roam. By sunset, the temperature fell to -63 degrees Celsius, dropping rapidly toward the deadly -70s. Agrafena wrapped herself in 3 layers of reindeer hide and stepped into the open yard. The air felt wrong. No wind, no sound, only the whispering tension of a world bracing for something ancient. That night, as darkness drowned the valley, she finally heard it. A distant, muffled rumbling. Not thunder, not wind. A chorus, a rolling wave of howls. "Wolves," she whispered, her breath crystallizing instantly. "Too many." Burkan barked frantically. Snow fell from trees as something massive moved across the forest floor. Then she saw the shapes. Dozens, then hundreds, emerging like phantoms from the frozen pines. Wolves. Gray, black, white, and silver. Starving, desperate, driven out of deeper Siberia by an abnormal winter that killed the prey they depended on. A superpack, a phenomenon that happens only once every few decades, when hundreds of smaller packs merge under winter stress, forming a single monstrous force capable of hunting bison. Or tearing villages apart. And now they were here. The stampede of shadows. Agrafena's snow sheep huddled together, trembling, their breath rising like ghosts. She moved quickly, as fast as a 90-year-old in a world of ice could move. Her joints cracked like breaking branches, but she forced herself forward. She dragged the heavy wooden gates shut and barred them with an iron beam. The wolves stopped at the tree line, watching, measuring. "Go on," she muttered. "Show yourself." Then one wolf approached. The alpha, huge, white, scarred, yellow-eyed. It stared at her with an intelligence that chilled her more than the cold ever could. This was no ordinary pack. This was a war party. And she was standing between them and a pen full of warm, helpless animals. The alpha growled, a deep, earth-quaking sound, and the forest responded with 1,000 voices. Agrafena whispered a prayer, not for herself, for her sheep. "Forgive me if I fail you." The first assault. The wolves attacked at once. Not chaotically, not wildly, strategically. 2 wolves charged the fence. 4 approached from behind the barn. Others tried digging under the snow-packed ground. The alpha waited, watching her, as if assessing her defenses. She grabbed her torch and thrust it forward, the flames snapping angrily in the freezing air. Back to the woods. The wolves recoiled, but regrouped instantly. They were testing her. The wooden fence shuddered under their weight. The sheep bleated in terror, pressing themselves into corners. Burkan barked relentlessly, standing guard beside her. For 3 hours straight, the wolves circled, probing, scratching, pushing. Agrafena fed more wood into the fire. Her hands shook, her breath weakened, but she did not step back. Not an inch. Finally, the wolves withdrew into the trees. But she knew, this was only round 1. Wolves do not give up, especially not in starvation winters. Tonight was only the beginning. The second night, -71 degrees Celsius. The next day, the weather turned against her. The temperature plunged to -71 degrees Celsius, cold enough to kill a human in minutes without proper protection. The smoke from her chimney froze mid-air, drifting downward like tiny knives. She had no time to rest. The wolves would return. She checked the fence. Damaged, splintered, barely standing. She reinforced it with whatever she could find. Old wooden beams, rusted metal sheets, frozen ropes. Her hands bled from the cold. Her lungs burned with every breath. But she worked as if she were still 40. Because survival doesn't depend on age, only on will. That night, the second assault began. This time, they came in silence. No howling, no snarling, just the sound of snow crunching under hundreds of paws. Agrafena lit multiple torches around the yard. A circle of weak fire in a sea of endless darkness. At the edge of the light, the wolves formed a ring, dozens of glowing eyes staring back. Then the alpha gave the signal. A single, short bark. The ring collapsed. Wolves poured in from every direction. Agrafena screamed for Burkan to stay behind her. She swung a burning branch, forcing the nearest wolves back. Teeth snapped inches from her skin. A wolf leapt at the fence and managed to grab a sheep's wool. Another pushed from the other side. Crack, crack, crack. A section of fencing broke. A wave of wolves surged forward. Agrafena rushed into the gap, using her own body as a barrier. A 90-year-old woman. Against 1,000 wolves, she stabbed at the closest ones with a long iron poker she kept for breaking frozen ground. Her arms trembled, her chest burned, her knees buckled, but she didn't fall. Not yet. The moment of truth. Exhaustion blurred her vision. Her breath came in shallow, frozen gasps. The wolves sensed it. They pushed harder. The alpha approached slowly, confidently, knowing she was weakening. Her torch burned low. Her strength faded. The wolves crept closer. Then, a thunderous boom ripped through the valley. Followed by another, and another. Gunshots. Real gunshots. The wolves froze. Out of the darkness came snowmobiles, headlights slicing through the frozen night. Villagers. Her neighbors from the distant settlement. The same people she stubbornly refused to live with. They had seen the smoke signals she sent that morning, the oldest trick in the Siberian survival book. She had hoped they'd understand. They did. The wolves scattered into the forest, fading like ghosts. The villagers rushed to her side. She collapsed into their arms, unconscious but alive. Her first words when she woke were, "Are my sheep safe?" They were. All of them. Aftermath of the storm. When dawn finally came, the temperature rose to a warm -55 degrees Celsius. The wolves were nowhere to be seen. But their tracks, thousands of them, covered the valley like scars. The villagers reinforced her entire farm. They offered to take her in. She refused. "I was born here. I will die here." She didn't say it with pride. She said it with peace. Her sheep grazed nearby, unaware of the war that had been fought for them. Burkan rested at her feet, exhausted but alive. Agrafena stood before her cabin, leaning on her stick, staring at the vast icy world stretching endlessly around her. A world that had tried to break her. A world she refused to surrender to. Legend of the Yakutian grandmother. News of her survival spread across Yakutia. Reporters came, scientists came, survival experts came, but she always told them the same thing. "I didn't fight wolves. I protected my family." When a researcher asked how she wasn't afraid, she smiled with toothless humor. "I was afraid, but fear is not an order. It is a suggestion, and I don't take orders from fear." Her story became part of Yakutian folklore. Children grew up hearing the tale of the 90-year-old grandmother who stood against 1,000 wolves. Some say she fought spirits. Others say she fought fate. But those who met her knew the truth. She fought because she chose to. And that choice made her a legend. The lesson of the ice. In a world obsessed with modern strength, protein shakes, and self-help quotes, a frail 90-year-old woman proved something eternal. Courage is not muscle, not youth, not weapons. Courage is simply refusing to step back, even when the darkness comes with 1,000 teeth. Her survival was not a miracle. It was a decision to stand, a decision to protect, a decision to love. And in that frozen night at -71 degrees Celsius, love was stronger than wolves.